Can everybody hear me okay? Tanner, I know you're going to get it being over in that neck of the woods. God bless you, man. God bless you. Guys that are in the if you're in the YouTube chat, let me know if you can hear me okay. Please. That way we can get started. Yeah, Dominic, we got to bounce back. It was tough yesterday taking our lumps, and I'll get into everything. Everybody can hear me good. Mike's coming through good. We already got 28 folks, 32 folks here on YouTube. So appreciate it. Loud and clear. Audio is good. Ready to get going. First things first, shout out to our sponsor, Boss's Ranch, Spicy Red River Ranch. Check them out, your local HEB in the produce section. This is a fantastic product. I would not promote this product if I didn't believe in it, and it is amazing. So thank you for the opportunities in sponsoring them. So, guys, first off, went to the game yesterday, and it was my first Red River shootout, Red River showdown, whatever you want to call it, Red River rivalry. And it was a fantastic atmosphere, tons of people. He said he can't see the bottle clearly. Boss's Red River Ranch. I'll have the links in the description. But overall, just, great environment, the 50-50 split, getting in there. We had great seats. So shout out to John Tran for hooking us up. And State Fair, the whole atmosphere was an incredible experience as a Texas fan, a bucket list opportunity for me. Now for the football game, we have to get to a point where we start these football games, because I'm gonna, it begins even before the game, with the, whatever that was, the scuffle, us getting into it with Oklahoma. And, there's two ways to look at it. If you look at it from a standpoint of we get into it with them and, we lose, then you look back at it and say, hey, guys weren't locked in. We didn't want the smoke. But then if you're Oklahoma and you get into it, you're saying, hey, we established our physicality right there. We established our toughness, whatever. But I also want to say, hey, guys, relax. I also want to say this. When you look at how we start these football games, and every single week we're in a 3-0, 7-0 deficit, and we almost seemingly intentionally start from behind, it's very frustrating as a fan. It's very frustrating when you're playing a team like Oklahoma and you're already in a defensive don't hurt us type of them, instead of attacking them, instead of coming out. You look at our opening game plan offensively, it was horrible. Their opening script was horrible. Refusing to establish any type of run game. You're coming at a defense that's juiced up. We talked about all week in our prep. We did 2 prep videos about the changes that Alex Grinch has made on Oklahoma side defensively with their level of aggression and physicality. We were not going to be able to come out and get cute and go lateral against a football team like this. Teams like that, you have to come out, punch them in the mouth, and then go over the top vertically. Them understanding some of the limitations of Sam Ehlinger and saying, hey, we're going to challenge you up front. We know you like your short to intermediate stuff. We want you to throw the ball over the top. We want your guys to make plays over the top. We didn't execute those things. So, we have the first error by the coaching staff with a weak game plan to come out, and then we compound those errors with lack of execution from the coaches. So I agree. Jess Flo said we came out playing scared. Totally agree. I saw that offensively. When you come out and go on side to side and you're allowing Oklahoma to use their speed, to the things that they're good at defensively, to come and attack you, is terrible. Offense seemed unprepared. My cousin Andre, Joseph Renfro, and the defense. Look, honestly, the screenplays, the first drive, no runs. I mean, look at the stats from this game. And I'm using my phone here on Instagram. I'm using my computer here. I mean, I can pull up the box score on ESPN real quick. But I believe Roschon Johnson had 8 carries, Keontae Ingram had 2 carries, and then Devin Duvernay had 3 carries. And that was it. That was your run game. So you're not even trying to establish anything up front against a team that is playing you in such an attacking manner is very, very frustrating. And look, last week against West Virginia, they took the time out to at least try to establish their run game, because that builds up their play action stuff. It builds up their RPO stuff. You see OU, you look at the flip side to that. OU took the time to get their run game stuff in, whether it was Jalen Hurts or their running backs, but getting their offensive line some rhythm, them utilizing a lot of their veer option stuff, and then planning their RPO stuff behind it to get CeeDee Lamb the football. It's very frustrating when you're looking at what Lincoln Riley's doing on the other side. And it's really not that deep. It's really not that deep what Lincoln Riley's doing on the other side. He's using like 3 people, and he's getting his offensive line in rhythm. And we have all these weapons on our side, and we can't get anything established. And our offensive line, look, rough game for those guys. You look at Samuel Cosme and some of the others coming out earlier this week, and they opened their mouth and said some I don't want to say disrespectful things about Neville Gallimore and some of the Oklahoma defensive linemen, but they basically said they're not a threat. And then they come out and get their ass whooped. That's inexcusable. Well, Zach T, I'm just venting right now. Now I'm gonna get to the positive stuff. Because there were some positives out of this game. But right now, I mean, look, I'm the level of expectation, and I'll be, totally candid here. I picked OU to win this football game because I thought they were the better team. I will also say this. This game, in my opinion, was not as close as the final score indicated. I don't think we were, the way we played, we should have lost by multiple scores, in my opinion. I think OU also left some plays on the field. But, hey, good morning, Jeffrey. Welcome, brother. But overall, I am frustrated, and I'm always going to be frustrated as a football fan of any of my teams when we get punched in the mouth physically like that and we come out looking a certain type of manner. It's more of how you look. I didn't come on and bash this team after LSU. I was proud of the effort. And there's the difference. And those of you who really follow this team know what I'm talking about. I didn't bash them after LSU. I bashed there's certain things we can critique and criticize after the game. But when you're looking at how we looked, in terms of our mannerisms, in terms of our game plan, and things that Tom Herman talks about, executing the things that you can control. And there were several things that we can control where we just come out and we don't even put forth, good tape. The effort is there. I do believe the effort is there with this football team. Let me catch up with some of these comments because they're flying in. I'm trying to go back up top real quick. So the 9 sacks, the offensive line, obviously they're worst, and Longhorn Recruiting talking about that as well on our end. Because, this game boiled down to our offense. I'll get to the defense in a second. The 9 sacks, inexcusable. A lot of interior pressure. So the person that was called out, Neville Gallimore, Ronnie Perkins on their end. And you look at how many guys on Oklahoma. I said this earlier, again in the prep, 10 different guys coming in this game on Oklahoma that had at least 1 sack this season. And I believe out of those 9, I think 8 different guys got a sack. I think only Gallimore had multiple sacks. So a lot of the stunts that they were doing, I totally agree with what Tanner is saying on IG. Poor communication and miscommunication with our offensive line, picking stuff like that up. And we never adjusted to it. We never woke up, whether it was a conversation with Herb Ham, what have you. We didn't adjust to any of that stuff. And, it ended up throwing off our quarterback. I thought all of a sudden our quarterback's now becoming a one-read guy, and he's trying to scramble around and make things happen because, he's now got a clock in his head because he's getting hit so much. And Sam battled, showed a lot of toughness as usual, but he also has certain limitations that were exposed. Matt, what's good, man? I'm looking forward to your thoughts. He said we suck. Oh, we don't suck yet, man. We don't suck. Not yet. I mean, I'm gonna say it this way. There's levels to this. And what we learned, and I know Matt's being a little sarcastic there too, but what we learned is we're not at the LSU OU level because when the AP rankings come out, both those teams are going to be in the top 5, right? LSU is going to be as high as 3. In my opinion, they should probably be 2, right? So, and then Oklahoma is going to be around 4 or 5 after this one because they passed their big test. So we're not on that level. And because we keep coming back to these games and we're like, oh, we were almost there. Even some of the UT fans on Twitter, well, we only lost by 1 game. We were almost there. I'll get to the kickoff stuff. That's another thing we could have controlled, getting back to the live chat. But we are not on that level yet. And that's what Tom Herman has to figure out also as a staff. Coaching in these big games, we're not coaching on the level of LSU staff and OU staff in these games. Our best players, this is another thing I wanted to point out. I said on Friday in the chat, your best players play their best in big games in those big moments. How many great players do we have on this team? I think we have a lot of really good football players. I think we have some guys that can be good football players. OU had a couple great players yesterday. And when you look at Colin Johnson, and we'll go talk about the drops, he had a good game. CeeDee Lamb had a great game. You see what I'm saying? And so when you look at these moments, you look at the LSU game, Joe Burrow was great. You know, there's no plays you look at where they left them on the field. They came out big game. Those guys played great. And we have moments last year. And look, we beat this team last year in this same game against a great player and Kyler Murray, 48-45. But we also played our A game. So when we come out in a big game and we don't play our A game and we get outmanned, we get out physical, and we start to have self-inflicted wounds, we start to fall asleep at the wheel on kickoff team when the coaches should have said, hey, guys, I've seen enough. Let's wait a fair catch. Let's protect our field position. Lincoln Riley's clearly in this game right now looking at his personnel saying, I want to back this team up. I want to get my pass rush juiced up and going and get them flustered on their side of the end zone in that OU crowd where we have trouble communicating. We start to get penalized. All hell breaks loose on our side. And we played right into our trap. And I tell you guys all the time, the way the coaches handle certain situations where they get emotional and they panic, it bleeds into the players. And we saw that with Devin Duvernay making some very costly decisions on kickoff return. So that starts at the top. Starts at the top. I told you guys Alex Grinch, you know, for somebody that said Alex Grinch was the new person to the party, and he showed up and took over the party. Bottom line. Let me go back up. I want to see if I missed any. SB Bates, congratulations to your team, man. And, I try to bring forth as good information as possible. There's so much stuff to talk about. I do want to talk about, Joseph Renfro said our defense wasn't aggressive. I will say this, though. Considering they were shorthanded, out of the 3 groups, the defense gets the best grade for me. Out of offense, special teams, and defense. Defense tried. They got 2 turnovers, okay? Both of them in the red zone. Yeah, we still do the bend, don't break BS. It is what it is. That's our philosophy. Todd Orlando's philosophy is to give up 7 on the first drive. They don't care about opening script. It is what it is. There's nothing new that we don't see every single week from our team. You saw how West Virginia came right out and got a touchdown last week too. But defensively, I was encouraged, earlier in the game, second half, holding OU to 10 points, certain things that they did to take away other guys and try to make Jalen Hurts, some of the pressures that got home with Overshawn, Joseph Osai at times getting home. The tackling became an issue later in the game as they had to play more and more snaps. That's why I talk about time possession and great players making great plays. CeeDee Lamb made our best players miss. He wasn't just shaking bums. He had Brandon Jones on his back on the last touchdown pass he caught where he tiptoed down the sideline into the end zone. He made Joseph Osai miss on the flea flicker touchdown. Those are our best guys. And, we couldn't get them on the ground. Chris Brown's back there, who I believe somebody either way can chime in here. I believe he fractured his forearm yesterday, so it's very unfortunate, Chris Brown. But CeeDee Lamb made our best guys miss. Our best guys. Let me Matt Myers, I think you're gonna have to have a conversation. The question from my IG was Orlando now leads the worst defense statistically in Texas history. Do you think a change should and will be made? Tom Herman prides himself on consistency with the staff for recruiting purposes, for culture purposes, and I think that would affect recruiting too much, especially with all the defensive linemen we have coming in, because then you're gonna have to alter not just the defensive coordinator position, but the whole staff. But there has to be evaluations made, especially with the amount of money that Todd Orlando is being paid. But again, in regards to this game, that was not our worst, issue. That defense became an issue at the end. But if I told you we were going to hold OU, and YouTube react to this as well. If I told you coming in the game we're going to hold OU to 34 points, and we were only going to score 27, would you take that? In terms of would you believe it, right? So those are things you have to factor in as well. Hey, Dodge Blue Out, thank you, man. It was great seeing you as well. Yeah, the missed tackling was frustrating, guys, but we got worn down. The Sam Ingram drama. So from what I've heard, they got into an argument on the sideline. If that was something that was shown on TV, being at the game, those are things I can't really see. And I've been looking, trying to do a little bit of research on that to see what it is. I mean, look, guys are going to get into arguments, especially competitive players, and there's levels of frustration. I don't know if it was something that was a pass protection issue or what, or if it was a call or a check that Sam made or what have you. But if it's, I don't take too much away from it. If guys get into a fight or argue on the sideline, that's football. Any of us that have played the game have gone through that. Now, if that's something that we still continue to hear, or Keontae Ingram enters the transfer portal, and look, I've been a Keontae Ingram defender on here. Yes, it is time for Roschon Johnson to be RB1. I will publicly admit that, but he already is RB1. If you look at the last 2 games, he's gotten most of the touches. He got most of the touches yesterday. He had 8 carries to Keontae's 2 carries. 2 carries. So, I mean, we can, hop on and just throw Keontae under the bus as if, he's a horrible player. No, Roschon has the juice right now, and he should be the starter. And I will admit that. And Roschon is also one of the few guys who plays up to the level of competition on this football team. And I think it galvanizes other guys. And you see those leadership abilities come from his time out, obviously, as a quarterback. But at least for the remainder of this season, he's going to be a guy moving forward. Obviously, Jordan Whittington will at some point factor into this equation. So I'm excited to see him. Keontae Ingram, I do agree, is playing injured. I also know that Keontae Ingram all of us were excited about him coming off of his freshman year and the things he showed us. So I'm not giving up on that young man at all. I've always said we need everybody on board, but whether it's Keontae Ingram, whether it's Roschon Johnson, 10 carries for your running back core is not enough in a game like this, considering how that team is playing you. You can't just say we're going to go laterally and attack with bubble screens and stuff when they're sitting on that. Alex Grinch was so well prepared for what Tom Herman and Tim Beck threw at him. It was crazy. So well prepared. Sophomore slump for Ingram. No doubt about it. You also factor in some of the injury stuff he's dealt with. But we haven't heard the last from him. Roschon was the best player for us. I wish he had the ball more. 8 carries, 95 yards. That's not enough, Tom. That's not enough. And I don't understand why that doesn't get established, because that would have helped with the sacks. Michael Fordham said, talk about why the stats happen and whatnot. Sacks happen. Well, when you come out and you're trying to spread everybody out, and I'm curious to hear them talk about this as well and their thought process of where they got led astray. But, a team is coming upfield with you with the amount of stunts that they're doing and that 4-man front, and they're doing a lot of confusing things with your offensive line. We never allowed our offensive line to get into any type of rhythm going forward and mauling and slowing down that pass rush. even if you want to implement a Daniel Young early, I think he got hurt too, or somebody else with the quarterback run game like OU did with Jalen Hurts to just run quarterback power on first down, first play. Why not? Just to say we're here too. We want to, everybody's talking that noise before the game, but we're going to establish that physicality with our offensive line. But no, we come out in a retreat type position and standpoint and try to get cute and try to finesse against a team that Alex Grinch has clearly gotten into those OU defensive players' heads and said, I want y'all to be angry. We're okay with being the bad guy. We're going to hold. I told y'all OU is going to get a bunch of penalties. They got a bunch of penalties yesterday. They're going to hold. They're going to hit people after the whistle. Somebody was getting up. There were sometimes you see them push a guy down, but that's what they want. They want that dog. They're trying to instill that in their guys. And too many times, even how we go and try to approach certain tackles, it seems like the only time we get aggressive is when we want to hit somebody with the crown of our helmet. Yeah, a lot of East-West stuff today, guys. But look, I will say this. This has to be a moment of humility with this program, right? OU used this as a moment of humility last year, and they came out on a redemption tour and beat us in December. I'm looking to hopefully have that same opportunity again. Now, we can't even look that far ahead because right now we're not even in second place. Baylor 6-0. They get a win in double overtime yesterday against Tech. We're going to have to deal with them as well as the rest of the Big 12 before we even get to December. But we have to go week to week, starting with Kansas, obviously. But we have to go week to week. And look, Austin G said, do we beat Kansas? No, we're going to beat teams like that. Look, that's what I said earlier in the chat, and thank you for joining. There's levels to this. And right now we're in that mid-tier level. What we showed yesterday, and I know we lost only by 7, but to me, there's OU's up here in the Big 12. There's now a little bit of a gap, all right? And then there's Texas, and I believe there is a gap between the rest of the conference, and I believe we will show that. I do believe that because of our talent level, and I don't think the coaching is as bad as we've seen. I think some of us are slightly overreacting. But if you want to go to this level with OU, you got to. I mean, you're gonna have to play your best football in these games. You cannot beat yourself. You cannot have the type of mistakes that we've had. I do agree. Eric Gouchers, he said Coburn played his heart out. I saw a lot of good things from him, as well as some of the other defensive line. Malcolm Roach was playing really well before he got kicked out too. It was really unfortunate because he helped with some of that. Galen Merrick, you didn't listen to what I said. I said there's a gap between us and OU. I mean, when you've won the conference 4 years in a row, I'm not delusional here. I do believe Texas is the second best team in the conference. I still believe that even after today. We have 2 losses to 2 top 5 teams. The talent needs to be developed. Yes, we're not there yet in terms of the depth. We've definitely been hit with injuries, and we haven't rallied as well as you'd like to see. But Oklahoma had injuries too. We talked all week about some of the issues they had with their tight ends. With their tackles. The tight end Grant Calcaterra doesn't play. Trey Sermon didn't even get a carry yesterday. I don't know what was up with that. But with the guys that they had, they execute. When Brennan Eagles, because I haven't talked about that, Brennan Eagles has a ball down the sideline where Sam Ehlinger does give him a good football, very catchable football. His man on defense on OU is falling down. That's an opportunity to get a 90-plus yard touchdown. We don't make the play. OU's making those plays. CeeDee Lamb's making those plays. Colin Johnson has a wide open slant over the middle where he could potentially gain 40 to 50 yards by securing the football, hits him right on the hands, right square on the hands. That's a drop. That's lack of execution, guys. So you can't just throw all of that on the coach. It's not Tom Herman's fault that a ball hit Colin Johnson right here, all right? Because even with some of the bad play calls, even with us not running the football and establishing that, there were opportunities, all right? Brennan Eagles earlier in the game, and I haven't seen too many people talk about this. Brennan Eagles early in the game on the other sideline is open he's beating his man by 10 yards, and a lot of people are complaining about pass interference. The ball was underthrown, severely underthrown. And that's what I'm talking about. Guys are playing Sam Ehlinger to his weakness as a passer now of he's not going to consistently throw the ball over your head. I don't know if any of y'all watched LSU Florida last night, but I know y'all watched LSU Texas. And Joe Burrow, Shannon Sharpe on his show Undisputed, he has a nickname for Carson Wentz where he calls it walk it to him. That's what Joe Burrow got with the LSU wide receivers. He's walking the ball to them. Every single time is perfectly thrown on their hands. And look, Sam Ehlinger doesn't have that level of talent from a accuracy and arm talent standpoint. That's the term, arm talent standpoint. But he's got to give us a better opportunity for some of those throws. But the wide receivers got to help him when the ball does get there. So it's both things, right? And then on top of that, the quarterback is battling sacks because the offensive line is getting their ass whooped. So it's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Yeah, Tanner, Joe Burrow, 21-24, 3 touchdowns. Incredible. Joshua Simon Steven, we are missing true explosive players like Devin. I'm tired of having tall receivers that are slow. It's hard to score in 2-minute drill without explosive fast players like a CeeDee Lamb. That's I think that might be a valid point there, Joshua, and thank you for that comment. You look at outside of Devin Duvernay, who can make a guy miss? Who are your explosive type of route runners too? Because and that also comes along with scheme. I'm gonna tell you about this. Hey, Dorian, your brother played like a champion yesterday, man. Roshan's brother's in here. Dorian, brother played like a champion, man. Really happy for you, and thank you for coming through and supporting as usual. Going back to the play calling, that's another thing I want to address that's going to lead me into Joshua's comment about the lack of explosive playmakers we have here. Yes, Eric Goucher, somebody on IG is answering your question about Jordan Whittington being one of those pieces. That is true. But the other thing I look at is this, and this is a philosophical issue that we have in our program right now. We have gotten too comfortable playing from behind. I'm going to say it again, we have gotten too comfortable in all of these big games, the big games. We get too comfortable playing from behind. The games we had successful last year, like a Georgia or even an OU, those 2 games we got ahead. And you have to get ahead in big games. Too many of these games, whether it's even average to below average opponents, every week we hear we got off to a slow start and we've gotten too comfortable playing from behind. And I'm going to veer that to when we started down 10-0, we get the field goal before halftime with Cameron Dickers, 10-3, and then, a couple possessions and then 10-10 in the third quarter. Now it is Oklahoma's time to answer. That was the most important drive for Oklahoma. And what did Lincoln Riley do in that situation? Pay attention to other teams' coaching. That was when he brought out his trick play. That's when Lincoln went into his bag and he goes with the flea flicker after he's been lulling us to sleep with all that veer option stuff. Then they flick it back. And now he's got CeeDee Lamb, who motioned out of the backfield before, trying to get his playmakers into space. And now CeeDee Lamb is wide open down the sideline. CeeDee Lamb catches a ball, say about 25-yard ball right there. We saw the opportunity to break down, make a tackle. Good players would have got tackle right there. CeeDee Lamb being the great player that he is, he makes everybody miss and gets into the end zone. Now that's a big momentum shift. Now they're up 7 again. They answered. We are never the team that's on the other side of that, I feel like. Outside of those 2 games I mentioned last year, we need to become the team that's on the other side of that. And where was our trick play stuff? Where was our stuff where Tom Herman or Tim Beck went into the bag? What were they trying to set up yesterday? And I would like to know from anyone in the comments, what were they trying to set up yesterday? Because I could see very clearly what OU was trying to set up, and then they eventually got it with the flea flicker. And even the Oklahoma State game where we got the play to Cade Brewer on the double reverse, we had shown some of that action early in the game. It was clear we were trying to set that up, and then we got that opportunity. We never set anything up for us to get that opportunity. The only things we had consistently in terms of opportunities were 9 routes over the top against their smaller corners, or some of the comeback route stuff, which was some of the better stuff we did in the past game, Sam to Colin Johnson. So you guys talk about number 2 on Oklahoma. he lines up. Have y'all noticed where CeeDee Lamb lines? CeeDee Lamb's all over the place. He's all over the place. Now, him breaking people's tackles, him breaking Joseph Ossai's tackle, Jameson, Brandon Jones, name anybody, BJ Foster. That's on those guys. They have to be held accountable to. We used our trick play last week on the pass to Cosme, but I tell you guys this sometimes. Some of these trick plays are designed for, hey, relax. Some of these trick plays are designed for that opponent that week. So I'm guaranteeing you they had something in store for Oklahoma and they never brought it out. Oklahoma had something set up for us that they lulled us to sleep. They had it set up for us. We didn't run it. I don't know why. I want to go back here. And look, we can y'all can throw Tim Beck under the bus all you want to. Tom Herman, Drew Maringer, Larry Fedora, everybody is involved with the game planning of this offense. Tom Herman has said repeatedly he hears every single play call. He can veto whatever he wants. I'm putting that on Tom Herman. Their play calling situation, because they have Drew Maringer, who's like their pass game coordinator and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of people to look at. If you just want to throw Tim Beck under the bus, because for those of you who are saying fire Tim Beck, he's also one's responsible for developing Sam Ehlinger in terms of the mechanics and what he's doing positionally development, because he is our quarterback coach. So we have to take all these things into account and not do severe overreactions. All right. Brennan Eagles had a tough game. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't think BJ's healthy, but he's also got to learn how to throttle down and become a better player in the open field. I think BJ is fantastic in the box. I think BJ is fantastic when it's like see ball, hit ball situation. But against some of these guys that are very, very quick in the Big 12, where they're trying to get people isolated in space, we seem to struggle. All of our guys seem to struggle there. Chris Brown struggled on a one-on-one with Jalen Hurts where he just swung and missed, literally like it was Yankees Astros. So I don't know. And did you guys feel like OU wanted this football game more? And I know, we're trying to get analytical here, but and this is more of a macro discussion. But just in terms of the sense of their intensity, it did feel like they wanted this football game more. Their attention, their focus, their relentlessness on every single snap seemed like they wanted it more. Just reading some of the comments. I'm trying to catch up. So why didn't we spy Jalen Hurts and have a dedicated person? Look, it's a lot that goes into that, right? That's where injuries factor in. That's where you're trying to play man coverage, but it's hard to play man and have a spy and have then your pass rush is screwed up. What we were trying to do is pressure, try to collapse the pocket and funnel Jalen certain ways. We were willing to concede certain yards, and then we were going to tighten up and try to make a play. And that's what, Big 12 football is all about, trying to be good situational defensively. And I thought it worked out for us early. If you had told Todd Orlando we were going to hold him to 10 and get 2 turnovers in the first half with our defense, Anthony Cook forcing a fumble, showing some of that physicality with the resources they had out, he's going to look at Sam Ehlinger, Tim Beck, Tom Herman, and the offensive line. Where's my, we look at baseball where a guy's pitching well, where's my run support, right? Like on the offensive side of the ball, we had a streak going of 35 plus points per game. We're averaging over 40 points per game, and we have 3 points in the first half. It's inexcusable. That's not on the defense. Hey, good morning, Clay. Hook 'em. Again, guys, thank you to our sponsor, Boss's Ranch. Just want to continue to shout these guys out for sponsoring the channel. Local HEB in the cold produce section. Fantastic product. Anthony Cook is developing, Michael Fordham. He really is developing. I'm just going back through some of the older comments that I missed, and I apologize. These ones are flowing in here. I think we're at 186 right now, so appreciate the supporting us. Yeah, that's another thing we never went to. Well, we can't go. So I'm gonna talk about that. People are like, hey, no trick play to Roschon throwing the football or any of those opportunities. Well, when you don't try to establish the run early in the game, what are you even setting up? The only thing we seem to be setting up was trying to move laterally and getting our guys sacked. That's what we were trying to set up. And that, it's tough. And let's talk about the kick return stuff because special teams it's another game where now special teams even bit us even more than the Oklahoma State game did, right? With the punts. And we get frustrated about that. They have got to stop being stubborn with that. And I don't know if it's how much time they allocate. I am not there at practice. All right. I am just a fan, just like everybody else that has an opinion. But I don't know how much time they're allocating to kick return or why they feel the need to have kick return turned on all the time. When I say turned on, that means the kick returner has a license to bring the football out and run straight down the field and try to make things happen and be creative, right? The other thing is when it's off, that means we're either going to fair catch, we're going to take a knee in the end zone, whether it's a directional kick, what have you. We're not returning the football. It should have been turned off after the first one. Oklahoma turned theirs off after the first one. Lincoln Riley was like, I'll take the ball 25. Because in that game of field position where you're backed up and their pass rush is amped up and you're not running the football well, you're not even trying to run the football, all those things come together. And in football, it's very complementary. And you saw us having the kick return issues. It's almost like we got sacked on first down. It's almost like that was our first down play. So even though we're coming out on our 5-yard line, 1st and 10, or even where he does try to fair catch and the ball goes through his hands and it goes down, it's tough, right? It's really, really tough. But sorry, I'm trying to take a drink. It's tough, but you cannot put your team in those positions. And that starts with the coaching staff. Tom Herman, don't be emotional. Turn it off. If you want to try kick return again next week and turn it back on for Kansas, sure. But it's inexcusable. Jeffrey McCullough out for the year. I thought he had a shoulder issue. Must have been very severe. That's tough. He was a senior. Chris Brown, I'm sure is done for the year. We'll get Chris Brown back next year, though. What's in the glass is just an energy drink. Just waking up, trying to get ready for some football. Colin had a concussion on the collision. No, Roschon should be the starting running back at this point. But my point is he already is. When you have 8 carries and the other guy has 2, you're the starter. Just because you didn't get the first snap of the game or the first series of the game. But look, Oklahoma did this too. Kennedy Brooks was in there most of the time, but they're going to have certain series where Stevenson's in the game the whole time, or even going back to Trey Sermon. LSU yesterday. Yeah, Edwards-Helaire is their starting running back. He's in most of the time, getting most of the carries, but they're going to have certain series where they got a Davis Price in there and letting different guys get in the rhythm. But they always maintain, I'm talking about LSU right now against Florida, they always maintain their integrity of running the football enough to get the offensive line in rhythm and the running backs in rhythm. We did none of the two to get any of our guys in rhythm. And that's on the coaching staff, in my opinion. I mean, guys, I don't know how many people saw my top 10 countdown because this is something else I want to talk about with y'all. Where I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts as fellow fans. We did a top 10 players countdown at the beginning of the season. How many of our top 10 players are even playing well or even up to a all Big 12 level, right? I believe I had Sam Ehlinger number 1, right? And right now he's playing at a very high level, but I think the Heisman run for him is probably over after yesterday. Let's be real, right? His all Big 12 run for quarterback, barring injury to Jalen Hurts, probably going to be Jalen Hurts. Colin Johnson, number 2, has not played up to, has had injury concerns, but has not played up to all Big 12 level. We had Caden Stearns. He's been injured. Before he was injured, he wasn't playing that well. We had Brandon Jones. He's been good. He's been good. Zach Shackelford got mauled yesterday by Gallimore. Let's keep it 100, right? I thought Zach Shackelford before yesterday was playing very, very good, and he's been able to keep healthy. So when you look at all of our best players, Keontae Ingram we had on that list, The one guy who's exceeded is Devin Duvernay that we had on the list. But all of our best players, you know, guys just aren't playing well. Like Joseph Osai was one of my breakout guys, and he's balling. He's doing his best. I know he missed the tackle on CeeDee Lamb, but he put out a lot more good tape than he did bad tape. But all of our best guys just are struggling. And you look at Oklahoma's best guy, like Kenneth Murray played well yesterday. In these big games, they're like you look at LSU, Florida. Even though Florida lost, some of their best guys played well yesterday. P. Ryan, all those guys, they're fighting. Where were our guys yesterday? Because that was one thing we could at least leave last year's games against Oklahoma, where it was like, you know what? Sam played his best ball last year in those games. Colin was playing his best ball. Little Jordan Humphrey was there. Charles Omenihu was flashing. And I know some of these guys have moved on and we're missing them right now. And we were healthier at that point last year. But it's just frustrating when you're watching your best guys just flat out get beat. CeeDee Lamb should have been a Longhorn too. Jalen Hurts should have been a Longhorn. I mean, it is what we got to work with the guys that are here. I mean, it is what it is. Another one. And if you want to blame Jordan's blaming Charlie Strong for it, hey, I won't hold that against you. I'd love to have a conversation with Stan Drayton on what's going on with Keontae Ingram and what they're doing to help him out. I'm just reading some of the comments from IG. Yeah, the Heisman stuff we got to wrap all that up. The playoff stuff, we got to wrap all that up. The only focus right now needs to be the same level of focus OU had. Now, their focus was a little bit different last year because they also knew that they were still going to have a chance for the playoffs. That playoff stuff is over. The Heisman stuff is over. The only focus needs to be is getting back to the Big 12 championship to have that opportunity for the rematch. That's the only focus. And whoever is in the way, you're going to have to deal with that person. And right now, Baylor is right now number 2. Ryan, to your point, so his comment was, is Tom Herman's practice hard, play hard philosophy benefiting us at all? We have a lot of injuries and we're missing a lot of tackles. I think that's something you cannot change that during the season. There's certain things you can adjust during the season. There's certain things you can't change. But in the offseason, he's going to have a sit down with his staff and the whole program and even the strength and conditioning folks and try to figure out what went wrong, if there was things that were just unavoidable or if there's things that they can do slightly differently, and studying other programs that aren't having the same issues that we're having. Because he's been here 3 years and it's tough. God bless you, Brandon. Thanks for going to the game with me. For sure, man. Peter, offensive play call. Yeah, I agree. Too many lateral plays, no adjustments. But they're going to have to address and go in there and figure out what is going on in this offseason I'm talking about to address how we can keep guys available, fresh, and have that rotation and still have that level of physicality that we need. Yeah, John, I'm talking about off season though. I agree. We can't change the way we practice during the season. You can't do it right now. It's too late. But there are certain things you can look at to figure out when you go back and watch the whole tape for the season to figure out why things are going the way they are. And if it is, or if it's just something where it's just like, we had bad luck this season, we'll go again next year. As long as you do take the time to objectively audit that and you feel as though whatever your plan is your plan moving forward, I'm comfortable with that. And it was frustrating. Malcolm Roach, captain, getting kicked out. That was tough. I thought he was playing well for us before he left. King Kunta said we need a new defensive back coach. Man, y'all just want to fire everybody today. Jason Washington is going to get fired. Look, he had 2 backup corners in there. Can we do some counters? Hey, I'm with you on that. Did y'all see? This is another thing I want to. Did y'all see how diverse Oklahoma's run game was? How they do the pull counter and they get the guards on their perimeter, and they don't just sit there and run inside zone or run outside zone, inside zone, outside zone. Like they run trap. They ran all sorts of different type of running plays. For you O-line football heads chime in there. But I just see so much more diversity in their run game. There you go, Jeffrey. Go get them wings with the Boston's Ranch. I appreciate you, man. They got to use this as a learning opportunity. Oh, Fresh Prince. Couldn't agree more. Our run game looks like the Cowboys. OU's looks like the 49ers. Big facts. Big facts. And real football heads know exactly what that means. Our run game looks like the Cowboys, and theirs looks like the 49ers. That's one of the best comments I've seen yet. Great comparison. Yeah, Michael, we covered the pregame scuffle earlier. Again, it happens. It's a rivalry game. It is what it is. It's one of those things where it's going to be looked at as a negative if your team loses, because people are going to say, you guys weren't focused, you weren't dialed in. If you win, like Oklahoma did, I guarantee the Oklahoma side is, you see, that's the physicality we talked about this offseason. We're going to be the hammer, not the nail, right? So it's spin. It's however you want to look at it. I do think we have great leadership on this team. But right now, our goal, we're playing to get back to the Big 12 championship game to essentially be in the same position we were last year. Now, the goal on the table to have a better season than we did last year is still there if they make it back and finish and win. And the teams, I said this before the game, I thought these two teams were really close and they would split. Do I think we can still split? Yes, but I think there's more of a gap than I initially thought. Now, the injuries of guys and the guys that will be coming back, like a Jordan Whittington, to see what he can do. And the reason why we're hyping him up is because we haven't really seen him get an opportunity to play yet. So I'm hoping it can be another godsend like a Roschon situation, right? And you look at Caden Stearns, who's one of our better players, despite the struggles coming back. It's got to be a help, right? So especially now with Chris Brown being gone. So it's all hands on deck. And I think if the coaches can do us some favors and help us out and not get out scheme and get their butts kicked by Lincoln staff, yeah, we have a shot in the Big 12 championship game. Or else we're going to end up right back where we were and may not even be in a New Year's Six game. Oh, look, OU's defense was great, and the switch they made to Alex Grinch was genius. Yeah, man, I wish we had Rondell Moore, Michael. The 3rd and 13 run, I'm assuming the one you're talking about, where we're at the 1 or the 2 yard line. I'm not going to beat up the coaches for that run play because they were trying to set up the punt and get out of that situation. Considering the pass rush, they didn't want something horrific to happen. And the reason why I say that is because on the 2nd and 13, they took their shot, and that was the one where Brennan Eagles dropped the football and it went through his hands, and we died essentially. So I know it seemed conservative in that moment, but they were trying to take some shots out of the end zone. Guys weren't making plays. So that particular situation, them being backed up like that, I put on the coaches. Them not getting out of it when they had the opportunity, I put on the players. And Brennan Eagles will tell you that he should have caught that ball. He knows that. He's a great athlete. And he's going to do great things here at Texas, and he's already started doing great things here at Texas. We cannot lose faith in these players. I haven't lost an ounce of faith in Brennan Eagles. He's going to have – these are growing pains. Only a sophomore. Keontae Ingram's only a sophomore. At some point, Roschon's playing outstanding. At some point, Roschon's going to have growing pains, whether it's running back or whether it's his future at quarterback. Sam Ehlinger's had growing pains. It happens. The thing is, how do you mitigate that? And Lincoln Riley and the OU staff, and I'm giving them a lot of credit because they have a great coaching staff and they have a great program in terms of philosophy on getting through some of that stuff. Jalen Hurts made had some boneheaded plays yesterday. That interception he threw where he should have just thrown it out of bounds and taken his points, and he throws it back across his body, back into the end zone, and Brandon Jones makes the pick. That was a boneheaded decision. Him not protecting the football and Anthony Cook forcing the football out and taking advantage of that. But their system, every single time they get the football back, they go right back down. And it seems like a matter of moments and they're already at your 30-yard line. Sam did have some balls to Mike Davis where he did put the ball in money, but he also missed some throws as well, missed some reads. There was a particular play where Cade Brewer was wide open for a touchdown. He didn't see him, but that also factors into his offensive line where he got flustered and it hurt him. And look, I'm going to be real with y'all. I love Sam, and Sam can lead to as far as we want to go at the collegiate level. He's a great collegiate quarterback. He has limitations, all right? He's not the quickest, fleetest of foot. And you see when guys start to go lower on him and try to run and catch up with him, he's not a guy that's going to break off a big play, even like a Jalen Hurts. You see the different level of athleticism there. His ball placement deep down the field, he can struggle with that at times. That's why teams are starting to play us the way they're playing us, where they're like, you can't play Joe Burrow the same way you play Sam Ehlinger. This is humbling, though. And I said this earlier in the video. This game was not as close as the score indicated. It's not as close. Was OU's defense as good, or were we so predictable, which made it easy? I think it's a little bit of both, Pete. But I also think OU's defense is legitimately better. And credit again to their staff for recognizing how they got beat last year and saying that won't happen again. They fired their defensive coordinator. They were not hesitant to make changes because of where they want to go. And to somebody's point about what we need to evaluate after the season, if it's moving to a 4-man front or some of the things they decide to do in the offseason philosophically, they're going to have that same type of conversation. If Lincoln Riley can make a change like that after making the playoffs, then we certainly can. And I'm not saying change your coaching staff, but you can change certain things about what you do to help you in the conference and the opponents that you play. Yes. He said on Instagram, is the issue of every player leading with their head on every tackle coaching issue. In my opinion, it is a coaching issue when it happens to multiple players in different position groups. Yes. And over a course of multiple weeks. And we've now seen that. And guys are going to hurt themselves. By the way, there was a play with Keandre Coburn where he ran downfield and I think he tackled Jalen Hurts after Chris Brown missed. I love Keandre Coburn. I love him. Hell of a player. And I wish we had more opportunities to take advantage of what he can do very, very well. Again, Joshua Stoops, Texas O-line versus OU D-line was the key to the game. Absolutely. That and us, not bringing any type of juice. And we talked all that trash. We talked a lot of trash before this game, which is actually uncharacteristic of us. And I get it's a rivalry game, and I get guys want to be amped up. And I have no problem with talking trash if you back it up. I really don't. But, when guys are talking from the O-line, and they come out and get their ass whooped, that's inexcusable. Special teams as a whole has to be evaluated. It's Fitz. Yeah, we talked a little bit about BJ. I think he is banged up, and I said earlier in the video, when you guys go back and rewatch this, if you choose to, I think he is struggling in space right now in terms of his weaknesses as a football player. Presently, as a sophomore, I think he's fantastic around the line of scrimmage. I think he's fantastic as a see ball, hit ball type of guy, and he has enough athleticism to make certain plays on the football and even catching the football. But when it comes to dealing with guys in terms of quickness and space, that's where he kind of gets exposed. I also want to see Overshawn blitz more. I liked it was good to see him back in there. He was actually one of the few guys that was able to get Jalen Hurts on the ground. He was able to get home. Yeah, look, we Tom Herman, he got beat in a game of field position. Flat out beat. Guys on IG, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it's gonna shut off in 5 minutes, so if you can make your way over to YouTube, because I'm gonna shut off the IG chat here in a little bit. I've been having some issues with it, so just to let y'all know. Pete, so you're talking about the RPO stuff. I agree with your comment there. I also want to say this. We've installed, and we made a big thing about it this offseason. Those of you on YouTube can attest to this. We talked all offseason about how we were adding RPO to our stuff. LSU talked all offseason about adding RPO to their stuff. Oklahoma already had RPO. Why doesn't our RPO look like LSU's RPO that they just installed? Why doesn't our RPO look like OU's RPO? Because we don't take the time to consistently even try to establish the run game. And we don't understand how to, in my opinion, how to scheme it into our play calling. And even some of the play design stuff can be an issue in terms of where they're trying to bang slants in, and there's linebackers there, and there's all sorts of stuff, right? But our RPO stuff, it's hard to establish that when you're running the ball once a quarter with the running back. Dudes aren't buying it. Right, LSU, they're consistently running the football whether it works or not, just to pull that guy up and give it better space for the quarterback. Excuse me. Look, Sam was trying to give some guys an opportunity to make plays downfield, and there were some times where he didn't pull the trigger, and it was frustrating. But he's not perfect, and he has limitations as a quarterback. But his own coaching staff, Sam, I'm talking about Sam, his own coaching staff has to understand his limitations, just like Oklahoma's coaching staff understand Jalen Hurts' limitations. Jalen Hurts has a lot of limitations that we saw yesterday. CeeDee Lamb had 10 catches yesterday? I could be wrong on that. I think he had 10 for like 171. After that, I think Nick Basquin had one catch where he made Deshaun Jameson miss. I think Rambo had 3 catches for 23, and then the rest were to the backs. I don't know if anybody else even caught a ball. They weren't even trying to get anybody else involved, especially after the tight end's out. They really didn't. They actually played a more conservative thing, and they focused on getting their run game and their physicality established. That's what they keyed in on. Jake Smith needs some love. The other thing too, Jake Smith, and this is also another philosophical thing. They have to Texas. This coaching staff doesn't believe in 4 wide receiver sets. They don't run them. They're gonna have to look into that. You're gonna have more speed on the field late in the game. When they're panicking and they're trying to get down the field, and only when guys get tired did we see even Marcus Washington or Jake Smith out there, guys that can stretch the field a little bit better than them just going to Malcolm Epps because the depth chart told them to. Like, we have to put more thought into that, right? And try to attack matchups better. If you have Jake Smith and Devin Duvernay on the field at the same time, even if one of them starts off in the backfield, where is that creativity with utilizing more wide receivers, right? It's like it's mandatory for the tight end to be on the field. And I would like somebody that understands football more than me to explain that, of why it's mandatory for K. Brewer to be there on the slot, especially when you're not even going to leverage him or throw it to him when he does get open, right? So I'm confused about that. Joshua Moore is not playing football this year. I'm just going to be real with y'all. I think I don't know if he'll transfer, but with the gun thing, and it wasn't that serious of a charge, but I think they're just kind of, hey, let's take a step away from football for a little bit and then hopefully rejoin us as a new man. But Josh Moore's not. I don't think he's going to play football this year. The IG chat ended. Hopefully, I told everybody to move over, so hopefully they do. OU's wide receivers are wide open because they move them around too. They don't put people in a box. We're putting people in a box on our side, in my opinion. We're putting people, whether it's Devin Duvernay, he might occasionally be in the backfield or he'll be in the slot, and that's it. We'll occasionally put Colin in the slot, but we don't. Malcolm Epps doesn't move around. I don't know if y'all saw this brother on Florida Pitts, who's really big, like tight end wide receiver hybrid that was killing LSU last night. That's what I envision ultimately for Malcolm Epps. And I know he doesn't have the hand strength that Pitts does on Florida, but and somebody let me know if y'all saw any of that. But even Florida, Dan Mullen was lining him up all over the place, just trying to identify matchups, trying to help the quarterback and identifying coverage. That's one thing that if you watch the Dallas Cowboys, that Kellen Moore tries to do. A lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of moving things around to try to help identify certain things. Those are things that we got to figure out and learn, because Lincoln Riley does a ton of that stuff. Hey, thank you, Mike Carr. Appreciate that compliment. Thank you. I think coaching and scheme was a big part of why we lost. Not the whole enchilada, though. Coaching and scheme, that didn't help Colin Johnson ball go through his hands. Coaching and scheme, I know CeeDee Lamb got open. That's when you tip your hat on the flea flicker. But coaching and scheme that's not going to help BJ Foster or Deshaun Jameson explain why they're missing tackles like that. We haven't been able to return a punt, although we didn't force a punt. In order to return a punt, you got to force a punt. And on top of that, I didn't see anything. When you look at it, seemed like we were running our base offense the whole game, to be honest with you. I didn't see anything where I'm like, ooh, they had that dialed up for Alex Grinch. It seemed like everything Alex Grinch had dialed up for Texas, if that makes sense. And y'all let me know if I'm not making sense. If I say anything that's just ridiculous, right? It seemed like Alex Grinch had everything dialed up for what Texas likes to do. He properly assessed our screen game and said, I'm shutting all that down. Texas has had success with that. Their bubble screen stuff, their short stuff, their short slants, all that. We're gonna sit on that stuff, and we're gonna make them throw the ball over the top. And Alex Grinch and their guys are like, we don't think they will consistently do it. And they didn't, and we didn't. And it slowed us down enough. We're averaging over 40 points a game. We finished with 27. We have 3 points at halftime. 3. When our defense was still keeping us in the football game. So stop. I can't stress that enough. There were some brothers out there that were playing hard and playing well on defense that we have to give credit to. Joseph Osai was making plays out there, man. Jerry Rodriguez, that can be something they look at, but if you're going to use BJ as a spy, then you're going to have to start to go to more of possibly a zone type of concept. Yeah, Alex Grinch was Alex Grinch at Ohio State when Tom Herman was there? I don't know. Can somebody confirm that? Those of you who are familiar with their previous staff, because we talked about Chris Ash earlier this week, but Adam Mora, I'd like to see anybody out there that has better instincts. I will say that in regards to the defense. It seems like Montrell Estelle. Omar, is that a yes to Grinch being at Ohio State when Tom Herman was there? Mike Carr said he was not there with Tom Herman. Somebody said they were. Yeah, I was at the game. Sounds like Alex Grinch came after Tom Herman, so he wasn't. So, okay. No, I appreciate it, guys. That's what I said. I learned from you guys as much as well. I'm a fellow fan that, just trying to make sense of this stuff on a Sunday morning. And that's why we have this community to talk through these things. 6 drops by the wide receivers after going back and watching 5 would have been first down. 6 was roughly a yard short of a first down. Mark Morgan, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully we can come back and give you guys a much better game in December if we get the opportunity. But nah, man, I am no nonsense. I don't like to sugarcoat things because I don't want people to sugarcoat things to me. There's no sure thing in sports than Todd Orlando giving up the opening score. Nine sacks. Yeah, we did give up 9 sacks. That's tough. Now the one thing we have to do, and I have to go through and diagnose. I've only watched some of the highlights after the game. I haven't gone through and watched every single snap. Were all 9 of those sacks strictly on the offensive line? That's something we all have to be honest about, including Sam, including the wide receivers, including the coaching. was every single sack on the offensive line. Where are our thumpers? Well, BJ's a thumper, but he's injured. And then after that, Dele's not really a thumper. I mean, Dele had some good moments, and he had some moments where he got lost. Juwan Mitchell right now is more of an instinctive, fast guy. He's not. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a thumper. But we don't have. I mean, we lost a lot when we lost Gary Johnson, even Malik Jefferson the week before. Omar with the quote, "But we had a great week of practice." I know. I'm tired of hearing that too. I'm tired. We talked a lot. Our football team, we talked a lot. According to Bobby Burton, I believe Bobby Burton isn't he 24/7? 6 of 9 sacks were O-line's fault. Okay, I appreciate that. I haven't looked into it, so I appreciate you providing that, Vince. I did feel as though Sam was holding the ball a little bit and got a little indecisive, but again, one thing complements the other because he's getting hit so much. But I don't think I didn't leave that game like furious. I actually was furious because of the 3rd and 17 at LSU because I legit felt like we had a chance to win the game. I never felt like we had a chance to win this game, personally. Even, yes, I know we had the onside kick. And y'all chime in. I know some of y'all disagree with me. There has to be somebody out there. Even towards the end of the game, y'all, did y'all ever really feel like we had a chance to win this football game? Be honest. I agree, Michael Ford. No more excuses. Now, I appreciate, hey, a lot of people saying no. They didn't feel like we had a chance to win this game. And just because you're hanging around, just because you're within 7, within 10, does that really mean you're in the football game? That's two different conversations. Because if I'm bullying you and I'm holding the ball for 6 minutes, I'm going down getting a score that puts me up 10 or even get a field goal, but I'm pushing you around and then I make your offense go 3 and out, I'm dominating the football game. The score may not necessarily reflect that in the moment, but I'm dominating the football game. Especially when we agree, Chris, especially with the field position. That's what's tough. And that's what they got to go back and fix. I'm not here to say we have no chance at ever beating this team. But one thing, so when John and I want to Renee said he hit us with the Dominic Toretto quote. That's where we are this morning. John and I were talking a little bit on our drive back. We were exhausted because being out in the sun too. But on the drive back, John was pissed, but he said something. I don't know if John is still in here, but he knows what I'm talking about. I should say Tran because there's a lot of Johns. Tran said, when is enough enough? This team has won the conference 4 effing years in a row. When is enough enough? And it's on us, Texas. When is enough enough? When do we say, you know what? We are actually not every off year that we do get the golden hat and we beat them and that's cool. And when it's a great moment, we celebrate as fans. But when do we say we're going to actually win this conference? And to Tran's point, he was like, look, and he'll talk about this when we have our actual recorded video with Matthew that's producing everything. I'll have Tran talk about it. But Kansas, what they do, Kansas basketball, up until Texas Tech took it last year, right? Kansas basketball every year, winning it, dominating. And yeah, we have people come through and go to the NBA, but it's like, when is enough Texas football? When is enough? Kansas basketball cheated. Jalen Hurts didn't impress me that much either. Jalen Hurts actually seemed a lot like the guy I saw at Alabama in person. He's a winner, though. He's a very, very, very good college quarterback. But I look at Joe Burrow, man. That's still the baddest boy we saw this year, in my opinion. Yeah, there's a reason why. Yeah, I mean, John's with his kid. Today's his son's birthday. His son Jordan turned 4 today. Today is officially the birthday. But we will be back tomorrow collectively. Myself, Tran, and Matthew for our to record. Yeah, buddy, we were talking about that earlier. Barking, it happens. It's football. Not every huddle is going to be kumbaya. Not every moment on the sideline is going to be kumbaya. We've seen Tom Brady argue with people. Tran, what's good, baby? But Tran, you agree with? I mean, that was the point. I was just talking about the point you brought up when we were talking in the Jeep on the way back. When is enough, man? When is enough in this conference? And I'm tired of being the underdog. I'm tired of being the person where, you know, I hope we come out and play well. OU came out and expected to play well. I'm gonna go back up and see if there's it's great conversations going on here right now, guys. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep this going for a little bit longer before some of the NFL games start, because I'm gonna sit back and enjoy my Sunday. We lost to a better football team yesterday, and I don't want to hear anybody else spin it otherwise. But we do. The beauty of this is we do have an opportunity to go back, get on a redemption tour, level set. But Tom Herman needs to go in there, whether it's this morning or Monday morning, and say, look, when is enough? When are we going to take control of this conference? Seniors, if not now, then when? When are y'all going to decide to be the hammer and not the nail? Yeah, we ran 10 times with our backs. We had Roschon had 8 carries for 95 yards and the touchdown. Ingram had 2 carries for 9 yards, and that was it. That was all the running back. That was all their touches. I mean, in the run game, they did. I think Roschon did catch 4 balls for about 30 yards, and then Ingram had 2 catches, and then he also had a drop. Colin, look, assuming he can get out of concussion protocol, he's had some horrible luck his senior year, but assuming he can get out of concussion protocol, he can still finish with a strong second half, and he's going to have another opportunity against OU. And Tom Herman actually talked about Colin being rusty in Tuesday's practice, and he looked a little rusty in the Oklahoma game. That drop was a huge drop. Lincoln has a better staff. Yeah, right now, yeah. They have a better program right now. From a development standpoint, what they do every year, we have a higher recruiting rankings, and every year they just. And when I say program, when you can plug and play with quarterbacks and Heisman guys, and then you also make the philosophical change to say, you know what, I'm tired of being soft defensively. I'm tired of people making fun of us. We're going to make a change, and we're going to change our culture and our attitude. And I talked about this week, y'all. I talked about this. They're going to change. I saw it because you can see it on tape with them. They are hitting people. They don't care. Their coaches don't care if they get a personal foul penalty. They're going to fight you, but that's what they want. They want those dogs. We got to have that in our program too. Now, I think we'll be focused for Kansas. Les Miles is like the Joker, man. Like the Jack Nicholson version of the Joker. He's going to try to crash the party. So Tom Herman's got to be on alert. And there's some things that Tom Herman does well as a coach in this conference. I know people are frustrated right now, but like, in my opinion, Tom Herman is the best recruiter in the conference. I think he's showing to be one of the better CEOs in the conference. But when we talk about game day stuff, game planning, X's and O's, he's struggling against Lincoln Riley. You know, like let's just be real. It is kind of Mac Brownish a little bit. But Mac Brown, the thing with him is they would put it on the other teams. His struggle was really just OU. If you're a defensive recruit, how can you not look at Alex Grinch? And I'm hearing Joshua Eaton, Joshua Eaton had those opportunities. Hey, Mark, we can agree to disagree, man. Go look at the ball that should have been that people complain about pass interference on Brennan Eagles. That ball was 10 yards underthrown. That would have been a touchdown. Sam's not perfect either. He deserves blame. Some blame. There were other balls that were put on the money. I do agree there. But he had his struggles and he has limitations. He does. And he became, the second half, they forced him to be a one-read quarterback. I do remember that game. 9 carries. I don't think it was Michigan State. That's what it was. I do remember that game. Yep. Great point. Yeah, Joshua Eaton, it sounds like he's flipping to OU. Word on the street. Yeah, it wasn't pass interference. That ball was underthrown. Chris knows what I'm talking about. That ball was underthrown. So that's my thing. If I'm gonna blame Brennan Eagles for the drop later in the game, I'm blaming Sam Ehlinger for missing the throw earlier. Both people get blamed. That's how this works. When they go in and do it, because you can't just say this one guy was awesome and did everything right, and it's not the truth, and then blame everybody else because those other guys aren't as highly notarized as the other player. We have to be fair, in our critique here. Roach killed us, man. That him leaving the game killed us because he was playing well. He was having one of his better games. Shane Buechele was there. I wouldn't be surprised. No, we're not playing KC. When I say, look, most 99% of college quarterbacks have limitations, guys. Like the only people that don't have limitations like Tua, where you can just do everything, right? Or Joe Burrow is showing me he can do everything now. Like I'm not. We're not going there. And some of that stuff may even be trolling. Who knows? Trevor Lawrence can do it all. It's not killing us. He just has some limitations. It's not killing us though. If other people are doing their jobs, we can win with him. He's only a junior too. He's only a junior. We need some more people that are dogs, though. We need some more, whether it's, ultimately as the O-line develops, because some of these guys are going to move on. Zach Shackelford's going to move on. Parker Brown's going to move on. Where are my dogs at? Where are the dogs on the defensive side of the football? Whether it's at linebacker, which I still continue to be concerned about moving forward because I don't see the linebacker development or in the recruiting side of things. Joseph Osai seems to be a dog. I need more, man. BJ Foster, I know, is a dog, especially when he's healthy. DeGabriel Floyd was a big blow. That was somebody who that was going to play right away. Joseph Osai did everything he could, but it seemed to me at times during the game he was a one-man band on defense. At times. And look, we all talked about like the corners and how worried we were about them, but they weren't terrible yesterday. They missed some tackles. They missed a lot of tackles, and they got beat a couple times. But did y'all see the play with when Jalen ran in on 3rd and goal to go up 34-20, and CeeDee Lamb on the other side is still working on his release? That's high level stuff right there. For those of you, if you saw it, chime in. But I don't see that level of commitment to the craft on our side of things with certain guys. Guys, if somebody's trolling, just ignore them. I'm trying to talk ball right now. And if you disagree with me about certain things, I'm cool with that. But don't, when we start talking about we need to bench the quarterback and crazy stuff like that, we got to just ignore some of that stuff. That's not sold on Deli. Jawan will be a very good player. Hopefully, DeGabriel will play next year. But you're absolutely correct. We need dogs. We need dogs, man. Deli's going to be fine. If Josh Eaton leaves, I think that just opens the door for Keely Ringo. because Keely Ringo wants to play. Let's be real. And Georgia's the other person. And I think he was at the LSU game last night. But if he wants to play and ball, I think he has the opportunity to come in and win a job right away with us. Really do. Jared, can you chime in more about what you like about the linebackers? I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just like to hear more about why you feel optimistic about that spot. My wife's in here trolling now too. She don't got no quiche. What do you think OU did well yesterday? I think they did have a fantastic job. I think they did a fantastic job of establishing physicality on both sides early in the game, especially from a defensive standpoint, playing field position, being physical, jumping stuff when they could, playing down on our screens. They took away everything we liked. Our plan A was immediately destroyed by Alex Grinch. Offensively, they got their quarterback running in the run game early to help him, when they needed to throw, help get him in rhythm, help get their offensive line in rhythm. Guys were still banged up. Swinson did play. They're still banged up. And then the way that they scheme CeeDee Lamb into things, now he makes plays and he can get open on his own. But then on top of that, they're using him on flyover motions and ghost motions to even create more space for him. Where you're looking at the game, you're like, how come there's nobody near CeeDee Lamb? Well, all the stuff that Lincoln Riley's doing, and then he also maintains the integrity in the run game of committing to it that we didn't do offensively. That's where a team looks really good. I think y'all been a little too hard on Delhi. You got to pick last week against West Virginia, where he did play good coverage. Yeah, if you have speed limitations out there, it's tough. But if you have good instincts and you understand where the ball's going to go and you can play, you can be out there. I don't think Delhi's a liability or anything like that. Rhino Maz, I do agree. Your goals are still on the table. We have to be optimistic at the end of the day. Now, we are diagnosing certain things. I think it is fair for us to critique this coaching staff and be critical of certain elements of the football game we saw, because another big game where we don't play our best. That's frustrating. You guys have to remember, Delhi's a young player. It's his first year playing. We seem to pick on certain guys, whether it's Ingram or Delhi or, it's just. So that's a fair comment, I think, Joshua. Seeing how Chris Boyd and Devontae Davis struggled with their technique, and then you see other guys get in there and have the same struggles, I think that's when you can start to make fair evaluations of certain positions and coaches within the staff. I do think that is fair. Look, if we go 10-2 and we get a rematch with OU, I'll take it. I think I had this team going 10-2 before the season. Hopefully Jordan Whittington can be back in the next couple weeks. But I the one thing I would challenge is the offensive line, because they have had a really good season up until yesterday. And so I think Herb Hand and some of the guys need to get in that room, and they have to get in that room collectively, because they have some older guys in there and say, look, we could never do that again. We're going to shut up. We're going to be the maulers that we know we are. But we also got to go to our staff, whether it's Herb Hand or whoever, and say, hey, we got to get back to running the football. We can't play from a position of retreat. We got to be going forward, because the way to beat this OU team yesterday was to go forward and punch them in the mouth early, even if it's 2, 3-yard little run gains. Tran and I like to call those body blows. It's like boxing. It's like, in the early rounds, you may not be looking like you're affecting the early fighter, but you're landing good body blows. Those things pay big dividends in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round. OU did that to us. And you see when they need to run the football and run the clock out, they're able to do so because they maintain their integrity and were able to land those body blows early in the game to soften us up and get what they need at the end of the football game. We don't do that. We don't do that on our end enough, in my opinion. Just reading some of the comments. I don't want them to rush Jordan Whittington, but I will say it's going to be very interesting how he's utilized, because a lot of you guys were talking about the lack of playmakers, the lack of speed, and how certain people are utilized on our offense. He's somebody who can help us right away. Jake Smith is somebody who can help us if they choose to utilize him a little bit more. So a lot of you guys are commenting about Jake Smith. And we're also not getting anything in punt return, but we don't force punts. So that's a whole thing within itself. Why would they go? I don't understand the whole D'Eriq King to OU thing when Spencer Rattler's there already being groomed. I don't understand that. Offensive line, that group as a whole, they got to come together, and they've been together all year playing with. And the stunt thing, that's something that OU probably, Alex Grinch, looking at when LSU goes to their 4-man front on third down with Chase on, and they bring in Divinity on the other side. That's something, and they started doing those stunts. That's something that I feel like Alex Grinch took up when we were trying to do our 2-minute drill. And we don't, for whatever reason, when people do stunts against us, we don't pick it up. We don't pass guys off properly. We don't recover in the gap quick enough. And that stuff kills us. That might be a good point, Donovan. I think so. I think the Oklahoma team might be taking on some of Jalen's temperament. But where does that temperament come from? That comes from Nick Saban. So he is a very, very good leader. And I told you guys, from a leadership standpoint, we weren't going to have an edge in this game between him and Sam Ehlinger. I had those guys even, and still do. I still think Sam Ehlinger is a tremendous leader, and we'll have something to say come December. Just like I think they both, as players, have limitations. Even OU fan that's being honest will tell you that there are limitations with Jalen. That we showed some of that stuff yesterday with his decision making as a passer sometimes, and flustering him in the pocket in certain situations. They did a good job blitzing early, especially in the first half. I did see. I shouted out DeMarvion Overshawn earlier. He was fantastic, in my opinion. Buddy, I think Baylor's good. I think they're good. I think Iowa State looks like they may have found a freshman running back on their side, and they seem to be getting better. Brock Purdy's playing a lot better than he did earlier in the season, so that's going to be a great challenge when we go play at Iowa State later this year. Do you think the corners keep having trouble the rest of the season? Changes might be made to the staff. Again, they're young, and you also have to factor in recruiting, because if you make a change, then say goodbye to Keely Ringo. So you have to factor in both things. Now, at the same token, when I said when's enough for us to sign to beat OU in this conference, but when's enough for us to say we didn't develop this group of guys. Next group of guys comes in, they didn't really develop. Like, they're not playing with confidence. to where we have to come in and maybe have a different teacher. Well, Herman's loyalty also helps us pay off in recruiting, though, and he's trying to mimic what they're doing at Clemson, with them having the same coaches year in, year out. That the players feel very comfortable with it. I don't think you have to take Devin Duvernay off kick return. I think that's a place where you could also see a Jordan Whittington who could be a little bit quicker, but they have to communicate. And when I say communicate, I'm talking about communicating with the kick return and telling them we're turning it off. We're not bringing out kicks. I don't remember the last time outside of the Rice, and I don't really count the Rice game again. I know Jameson housed the kickoff, but like we don't block it well enough for us to even be trying to return kicks. Oh, shout out to Cameron Dicker. I like how he handled that whole thing where they called 3 straight timeouts, which was smart on their part. Kept his composure and nailed a 49-yard field goal. Great point, Joshua Salmon. We do miss Darian Brown. That was another guy we had. And if Darian Brown's there, but that's the great what if, right? If Darian Brown's in the room, maybe Roschon never moves to running back. Maybe he just stays a quarterback and gets redshirted. So all those things like that, the Roschon move to go to running back was just complete desperation. Who does Longhorn game film breakdown? I think LHN does some stuff there, if I'm not mistaken. Ryan Bridges used to do some stuff. I don't know if he still does. I just don't get into the licensing thing. I'm a fan, and I just like to comment on the games and what I've seen and provide more commentary and podcast type format. Colin has Will does as well. Colin has a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Their screen game stuff is still going to be in the offense, guys. I mean, their screen game stuff is good. It's just that when somebody wants to take something away from you, what is your counter? They're making you try to throw the ball over here. That's why I'm saying, like, you if you run the football a little more, maybe you can set up your RPO stuff a little bit better. But that didn't cross their minds during the game. CeeDee Lamb made them miss some of those tackles too, but I was hella frustrating, guys. Hella frustrating. I'm going to go for about 10 more minutes because I want to get ready to watch these NFL games. All that stuff has to be reevaluated at the end of the season. Yeah, I love watching Dallas Cowboys stuff. It's fantastic. Breakdowns. Okoye does some good stuff too for the Cowboys. Colin redshirt this year to play next year. No, I don't see that happening. Colin's ready to, he needs to help us now. Like, we need him next week. Yeah, Texas may need to look at also from a recruiting standpoint too. Again, we have a loaded defensive line class coming in conjunction with some of the guys that are going to be here, like a Keandre Coburn. That could be something they look at, making a shift just like OU did, or at least on certain plays in certain situations. LSU does it on third downs where they go to a 4-man front and try to get pressure with their four guys. When I say 4-man front, I'm talking about 4 guys hand in the dirt. But as good and smart as our coaches are, some of them are very stubborn as well. Right now, the way we run our system, I would actually say Jaquindon Jackson. Now, if we ever develop things a little bit more, I'd say it'd actually be Hudson Card, because Jaquindon, right now, our quarterback position is, we need athleticism because we don't Now, if we had a scheme like OU, then yeah, Hudson Card. I think Hudson Card can be a great player. All those guys, Jalen too. I like Jackson's leadership skills though. He seems like I love what he's doing at Duncanville. But I mean, look, they get stubborn every week, and that's what's a little frustrating. A little frustrating because they're winning. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but the frustration happens every week. It seems like every week they come up there and they get too emotional as coaches sometimes. Guys, make sure you hit the like button. I appreciate y'all having this Sunday morning chat with me. It's very therapeutic. Yeah, we can all bitch and moan together. Look, after we talk with John Tran and we go through our formal recap and good, bad, ugly, and all that type of stuff, we got to start looking forward to Kansas. We don't have time to mull this. Tran said, "Don't forget how great Boss's Ranch tastes. Thank you to our sponsors, Boss's Red River Ranch, fantastic product. They have a regular ranch as well as the spicy Red River. I love this. You can see the bottle is going down because I do use this stuff. I only promote products on this channel I love. Check it out, your local HEB in the cold produce section." Yeah, we'll continue as we grow. Now that we got a sponsorship and now we're continuing to get more action. We'll have the production game step up to where, we could potentially take phone calls, talk with you guys. Phone calls for sure. We'll get there. Bosses in New York. No, right now it's only local here to Central Texas. I'm sorry, man. They don't ship. It's only an HEB. They're proprietary to HEB. So sorry, guys. Thanks, Fitz. I know, man. We had 200 plus on a Sunday morning. It's crazy. A lot of people looking to talk Texas, and appreciate you guys. And everybody watched the game. Everybody knows what's up. I just like chatting with y'all as fans. One fan to another. It's just like if we went and grabbed a beer and just said, hey, that's always been the vibe I've wanted to have on this channel when I break down anything. If we went and had a beer at a bar and you get into one of those long conversations or rap sessions with your boy and you're just talking about the game, that's just us here, with a bigger audience, a bigger group. Get your Boss's Ranch. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. We'll go to 140 here. Any other questions or anything else y'all want to break down? Yeah, Donovan. It's up. Maybe at some point we'll link it with RJ. There's a lot of stuff he got right about this game this past weekend. I don't know. I don't know how much value we, as translated, how much value I would add, or John and I would add to what they do. But hey, PO Box. We want to send some fan mail to y'all. I don't have a PO Box yet, but I can get one if y'all want to send us stuff or send us letters or anything. I guess these are things we have to account for with the growth. We still have 150 in here and we're getting ready to wrap. That's crazy. Yeah, continue to smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe too. Please subscribe so we can grow this thing. And I think those of you who are in there are getting a chance to talk with each other and learn from each other. All right, we'll get a PO Box. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do Sunday. I appreciate it. Thanks, Chris. Sunday we'll have to do our Cowboys recap too today after we beat the Jets, hopefully. Joe Brady's that dude at LSU. I don't know if y'all did anybody watch that game last night? I don't even think they had 50 snaps. He said who? That's funny. It's funny he said who. He commented on a video before, so that's cool. What a difference a good OC and a scheme makes. Those wide receivers are elite. Yeah, no, I mean the LSU guys are really, really good, man. But on top of that, look how much confidence they play when they're throwing the football, when they're getting the ball downfield. They play with a tremendous amount of confidence. Well, LSU beat Bama. I'm gonna have two fans on later for a special video that are really good friends of mine that are both a Bama and LSU fan. I think, oof. The only thing is the game's in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, he's just said it. The game's in Tuscaloosa. And Bama looked good yesterday in College Station. I mean, at this point, I don't know what's left of Texas A&M, but I still think I'd lean Bama in that situation. Crazy enough. I don't know if he put too much focus on Rambo. I think I honestly give more credit to that to Lincoln Riley Donovan on because look that ghost motion they were doing with CeeDee Lamb where they're putting just moving all over. I think that threw us off a little bit. So Rambo was held in check for the most part, but also they did a good job of just getting their initial read wide open in certain situations and also utilizing RPO as well as some of their natural play action stuff. That veer stuff was messing us up, man. Really messing us up. And then the play they ran on the first touchdown where it was like the little pick thing they did with Rambo, which wasn't fully a pick, but they get CeeDee Lamb wide open in the flat on 4th and goal. It was a great play call. Brandon ran around it. Are you talking about on the pick? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was bad technique. They'll address that on film. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to wrap. I'm gonna get ready. Make sure my fantasy lineups are, no last minute injuries as well. Who won Carolina and Tampa Bay? I've been talking to y'all the whole time. I haven't been able to check. I appreciate y'all's support, guys. I really do. Carolina about to win. Okay, cool. Because I picked the Panthers today. All right. Yeah, we'll be back with Tran as well as Matthew to produce. But I just wanted to wrap with y'all Sunday morning. We made yesterday a day trip, and again, I'm a in the way I started. If you haven't gone to the Cotton Bowl for an OU Texas game, at least do it once. Make the trip. Do whatever you got to do. It's a phenomenal experience. It sucks that we lost the game. It sucks that I've now been to 2 straight Texas OU games where we've lost, but nonetheless, the atmosphere, the environment, the camaraderie of the state fair, it was everything that it lived up to be, and just the energy in the stadium. It's unlike anything I've ever seen at a football game. So I'm glad I got to experience that, and hopefully at some point you guys get to do one as well. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining me on Sunday morning. God bless. Horns always up.